Hi, my name is Roland Baker. I'm the Executive Director of TCAL, and I just want to
Thank you all for being part of
say
this.
thank you all for being part of this great summit. We're looking forward to another wonderful day, lots of great speakers. TCAL is a leadership program funded through the Department of Ed, the Santa Cruz County Office of Education. And I just want to let you know that we are going to be having some distance learning courses coming up offered by the Santa Cruz County Office of Education later this summer. So if you have teachers or administrators, stay tuned, because we have something put together that's going to be just great to help you open schools next fall.
Thank you, Roland, and welcome to our final day. How many people had a wonderful day yesterday? All right, great. Well, welcome to our final day. We are sad this has to end here. We do have 3 days. If this is your first time, you missed day 1 and 2, all about redesigning schools and wellness and communication. Today is all about wellness and communication. Yesterday was about instructional design. And guess what? We're going to do it again in the fall to see what we've learned over the first few days during the fall, your first few months of the new normal for your schools. And so please save the date, Monday, 11/23. It's the Monday before Thanksgiving. So you may be on break. You may be starting to prepare for your Thanksgiving holiday. Again, put that on your calendar. It'll be another half day, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. is what we're looking for. A 1 day only. So again, we're going to be doing this again. Second round of the Distance Learning Leadership Summit. So please save the date. We do have a poll here because today is all about wellness, and part of that is making sure not only you take care of your students, your staff, and your families and communities, but also taking care of yourself. So let's think about what your plans are this summer to take care of yourself outside of work. So I'm going to go ahead and launch this poll. And what are you doing this summer to take care of your wellness? Are you going to go to the beach? Are you going to garden? And if you do go to the beach in Santa Cruz, remember it's closed 11 to 5. Closed 11 to 5 in Santa Cruz. But we do have a beach about a half mile from where I'm sitting right now. All right, let's see what you're going to be doing. Lots of hikers out there. All right, lots of beach goers, gardening, lots of Netflixing. Some great shows on Netflix. If you want to put what your favorite Netflix show is or movie, go ahead and put it in the chat. All right, lots of hikers. If you want to come to Santa Cruz, great hiking trails around here. Just make sure you have some social distancing there. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and end it and share the results. It looks like a lot of hikers for the most part, and only 8% of people who like to dabble in the video games. Hopefully you get away from the screens for a little bit this summer as well. Again, thank you for participating in our wellness poll. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and go back to the slides here. And I want to quickly give the mic over to TD, Thomas Dixon from Google, to introduce and share Google's resources.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. My name's TD from Google for Education. Really excited to be here for day 3, focused on mindfulness and communication. I'd mentioned this yesterday, but to reiterate, we have a great learning hub called Teach From Home at teachfromhome.google, where there's resources not just for students and teachers, there's resources for families as well. And another quick plug, which is a very non-approved marketing resource, which is my own website, that has a bunch of resources for families, teachers, and IT admin, which is just gfewithtd.com. Very creatively titled, Google for Education with TD.com, gfewithtd.com. So check that out. A ton of different resources for you, your educators, and then also the families you're working with. Really excited for day 3 and really excited to be a part of this summit, and looking forward to the sessions ahead. Thanks so much, Jason.
All right, thanks, TD. We're going to go ahead and move it over to Jeff Mitchell and Joe Marquez from CDWG. And this is that time of the day where you get to hear who won yesterday's raffle.
Hey guys, Jeff Mitchell, Field Account Executive for CDWG out here in the Bay Area, supporting our K-12 customers. Super excited yet again to be a part of this for day 3. As Jason mentioned, I'm your favorite person today, right? Because I'm the one giving away all the great free stuff. So just wanted to thank our sponsors here. These are just a number of them that helped us put this together, that we're able to kind of pony up for some of the raffle prizes. So wanted to kind of shout some of these guys out. So Jason, thank you for allowing a slide for this. To move on to the winners for today, these are your winners from day 2. We'll leave it up here for a second, let you guys check it out. If the winners aren't on here for this today, I will be reaching out directly to everybody next week to get any pertinent information, especially for some of the prizes that are not virtual gift cards like the monitors and some of the t-shirts. So it's incredibly important. Again, guys, fill out the surveys at the end of all your sessions, because that is what makes you eligible for these giveaways. So it allows us to get great feedback about the sessions. It allows you guys a voice on how we can change this and potentially better this moving forward. So thank you so much for your feedback. It's incredibly important to us, and we thank you guys for the extra time that you're putting in to provide that. So thank you, and congratulations to yesterday's winners.
All right, and we have one more raffle, and we're not going to be announcing those winners only through email. We'll announce those winners. So again, please fill out your evaluations for both sessions today, and there's 2 chances to win. Is anybody actually in our audience today in this raffle list? Go ahead and raise your hand. And let's go ahead and give a round of applause to all the winners. All right, right on. Very cool. All right, with that, Roland already gave the word from TCAL and mentioned the leading edge educator program we're doing for blended teachers, blended learning teachers. This is a known national certification program we're going to be offering in July. So we're going to send an email out with all the details if you have teachers interested, or if you as an educational leader want to join and support your teachers around blended learning. So again, this is going to be an opportunity. This is a completely revised curriculum. If you've seen the leading edge curriculum before, it's completely revised, and we're going to engaging teachers around this certification program. All right, and with that, it's time for me to introduce today's Keynote, Rony Habib. Rony is the founder of EQ Schools. He's an expert in helping leaders, educators, and partners become happier, more resilient, more connected to their purpose, and more playful. Early in his career, Rony struggled with the high stresses and demands of teaching, even losing touch with why he wanted to be a teacher in the first place. He was a former teacher in the Bay Area. I actually met Rony back in 2008 at the Google Teacher Academy in Mountain View, way back in the days when we were much younger and we had much more hair back then. But Rony now has moved on to wellness support and supporting schools and districts across the globe with happiness and wellness. So without any further ado, let's welcome Rony Habib.
Jason, thank you so much for this beautiful introduction. It's been such an honor, Jason, to work with you in the last, it's crazy that we've known each other for more than a decade. And I just have seen your work. It's been so impressive. And I know how much you care about kids and educators. So thank you for that. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, everyone. And I also want to just take a moment and, as I do that, thank Ferris and Debbie for being really leaders of leaders and for being such an anchor to all schools in Santa Cruz County, which is where actually I'm from. So if you want to get access to the slides for this Keynote, please go to bit.ly/EQ Keynote and you'll get all the slides. I just want to take a moment before we start to really just thank you all. Thank you all for what you do. I know that being leaders in schools, I work with a lot of principals, superintendents, and educators in general in all different, positions in districts and schools. And I know that, working in schools takes a lot out of us physically and emotionally. And having been a teacher and a leader in a school, I know that. But this year especially, like facing this triple threat of a crisis with the pandemic, the racial injustices, and the budget cuts. It's a lot. And it's just really impressive to me how so many of you have just deployed your team to, for example, give a bunch of meals to the kids who needed the most, deployed thousands of Chromebooks so that kids can learn. And so I just want to share that, like, in my book, you really are heroes. And I know that it might be easy, like, to say, hey, Ronnie, I'm just doing my job, not like, not no hero. But I just want to put out there that, no one else is really answering the call that our communities are asking for in the same way. And so I think it's important that we just take a moment and recognize that. And during this time of physical isolation, I want to put out there, and this ties really well into the theme of wellness and communication today, is that connection matters more than ever and more than anything. I'll say it again, during this time of physical isolation, human connection matters more than anything, attuned connection. And of course, we want that when our teachers connect with their students, right? We want them to know that, hey, as a teacher, I like teaching you, but I love you as a person and I want to be there for you. And it's important that we give our teacher permission, right, to take the time to connect with their students, even online, and make that intentional. But I also think for us, with our colleagues, how much can we, as much as possible, really connect with our colleagues on a human level? And I don't just mean like at the end of the week, the happy hour kind of time that and this is great if you do happy hours, it's wonderful, and I encourage you to keep doing it. But how much can we, on a moment-to-moment basis, be attuned to our colleagues on a human level, really noticing what they're saying underneath their word, the emotions that happen for them, and being there for them. But here's the thing. What I think a lot of educators forget from time to time, and leaders forget, especially because we're so busy, like our pace of life is so fast, is that you cannot truly be emotionally available to others unless you're emotionally available to yourself. And my intention with our time together during this Keynote and also during the breakout session that I'm going to provide is to give you as many tools as possible to really improve your resilience, your wellness, feel more at peace, and also your communication, so that you can kind of take your leadership to the next level, and also, but more important than your leadership, your wellness. Now, just a bit about me, I'm the founder of EQ Schools, company that brings mindfulness, emotional intelligence, and positive psychology to schools. I've worked with more than 100 schools just in the state of California, but also abroad. I speak all over, and I live in Santa Cruz, and I freaking love my life, all right? With that, I'll just say that life definitely has not always been this amazing, and I started EQ Schools actually because of a tragedy that I experienced as a teacher. One of my students in my third year of teaching committed suicide, and it shocked me and it rocked me, and I felt broken from it. And I supported students that day. It was very public. We had to support the kids that day. And I remember going to the funeral of this kid, asked to speak there. And at the end of my speech, I basically had a moment that says, if I'm going to continue to be an educator, there was nothing that was going to stop me from putting my students' well-being first. Nothing. So I created a course called Positive Psychology. I was praying 25 students would sign up, and 107 signed up. And year after year, I saw hundreds of kids behaviorally change as they took this course. And so what I realized was that I had skills and tools to provide to other educators to make their classrooms even more, places where relationships can really thrive, and emotional connections can really take off, so that the learning can take off. So that's how EQ School started. But very quickly, I realized that we can't just support teachers in the classroom. If we want to shift schools, change schools, we need to support the school as a whole, the culture of the school as a whole. And so that's where I did a lot of work with my team at supporting administrators and also parents, and to really shift the culture of schools to become more conscious and joyful and emotionally intelligent. So one thing that's really, really clear, though, to me about the work, as I'm doing more and more of it over the years, is that if we want to prioritize the wellness of our children, especially during this time of crisis, as adults, we need to walk the walk. When it comes to wellness and communication, we need to walk the walk. Kids learn that by osmosis. They see it modeled. Of course, we can give them, worksheets and lessons and all of that. But at the end of the day, it's about modeling it, and frankly, not just for the kids, but also for our own well-being. So I want you to think about how important this is, especially now. Think about the fact that we are facing all the racial injustices, right? That we really need to take a hard look at. And we need to take a look at our unconscious bias. We need to take a look at our systemic bias. And these conversations are uncomfortable for people. We need to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And yet when someone finally realizes that they might have some unconscious bias within them, it's very, very, very common and very easy for them to feel shame. But the truth is, everyone, is that most people do not know how to regulate shame. Shame is a very difficult emotion to regulate. And so if a person isn't aware that they're in shame when they are having a conversation about racial injustice, and then do not know how to regulate their shame, they immediately become defensive. And if a person is defensive, no work can be done around that. Because when a person is defensive, they cannot be empathic. And without empathy, there's no equity. In fact, you cannot begin to spell the word equity without EQ. You with me? Emotional intelligence is essentially the basis. These skills are the basis for achieving the work that we really want to do. So what I'd like to do is I want to start with this first tool, okay, to really support your wellness. And I want to be clear again that all those tools that I'm giving are again in the context of creating schools that embody a joyful and safe climate where relationship and learning can thrive. It's just important that as leaders, we model that because people take their emotional cues from us. It doesn't mean that we have to be perfect, far from it, but you know, as much as possible, can we model it? And so this first tool that I want to cover is rhythmic breathing. And actually we're going to combine it with a very quick visualization. So here's how this is going to work. What I'd love for you to do is, if you're open to it, of course, everything's optional, but if you're open to it, I'd love for you to assume a mindful body position, which means your back is straight, your hands are on your lap, and I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. That said, if you're too tired, please don't close your eyes. You can kind of keep your eyes half open, gazed at the floor. And what I'm going to invite you to do is start breathing like through your nose. Just notice your breath going in and out from your nose. You don't have to do anything special. And in a moment, I'm going to invite you to breathe in a very specific way. And this rhythmic breathing way is actually shown to regulate our nervous system in the fastest way. So this is a really fast way to regulate our nervous system, because in a moment, what you're gonna experience is your vagus nerve being stimulated. So you're gonna experience more vagal tone. So what we're gonna do in a moment, as you continue to breathe in and out and kind of slow down, is I'm gonna invite you to breathe into the count of 4. You're gonna hold for 4, and you're gonna breathe out to the count of 8. So go ahead and breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, and breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, and breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, and breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to invite you to continue to do 1 or 2 more of these breaths on your own. And as you do that with your eyes closed, just kind of notice your system, notice how you are for just a moment. I know we have a very little amount of time together today, but I wanted to take this time for you to continue, for you to experience what it feels like to take a moment of peace for yourself. Each and every one of you deserves at least 1 moment of peace every single day. And with your eyes closed, I want to do a quick visualization, just checking on the time here. Quick visualization with you all. Imagine for a moment that there's a child in front of you, and this can be your own son, if you have kids, son, daughter. This can be nephew, niece, this can be a student. If you have multiple kids, choose your favorite. But just take a moment and really visualize the face of a child that you love. And as you take your next breath, I'm going to ask you a question. I don't want you to think about it too much, but simply see what first word comes up. So as you think about this child, this beautiful face that looks at you right now, what do you want the most for this child in their life? First word that comes up. What do you wish the most for them? Go ahead and take a deep breath in. Beautiful. And whenever you're ready, you may open your eyes and go ahead and put on the chat. What word came up for you? What word came up for you? as you put that? What do you want the most for this child? And so as I run these exercises with thousands of people every year, there's a ton of, I'm not even looking at the chat now, but I'm virtually sure that the word happiness is coming up, like happiness, peace, contentment, some form of that. Well, that's what we care about the most as adults. That's what we want the most for our kids, for them to be well-being. And by the way, if you didn't say wellness or happiness, you're still a wonderful person, okay? But I'm just saying that that's what we care about the most. And yet I think it's easy for us to kind of, in schools, for happiness to kind of get shoved aside. And I also think that it's easy for us to shove our happiness aside. But what's interesting is that there are basically 5 elements that contribute to anyone's well-being. And there's an acronym I created called RAMP, okay? The A has 2 components. So R stands for relationships, having supportive relationships in our lives. A stands for awareness, being aware, and also advancement, personal growth. M stands for meaning, and P stands for positive emotions. When we have more of these in our lives, our base level of happiness increases. That's straight up research from positive psychology. In fact, the people who experience the most, the people who really thrive experience a 3-to-1 ratio of positive emotions to difficult emotions in their life. And I want to give you tool number 2, and that's emotional resonance, experiencing more emotional resonance in our life. What that is when basically our emotional brains are in sync in a positive way with others, okay? Not just intellectually, but emotionally, the limbic system. And the fastest way to get there actually is through laughter, okay? And the fastest way to get there is to play. Now, I don't have time to show you a game right now that you can play with your colleagues or your students, but if you come to my breakout session, I will show you one. But what I would love to do for you is to show you another way to create emotional resonance. It's very simple. Ask your colleagues or ask your students when you connect with them on Zoom, hey, and you can do this on every single meeting, in the beginning of the meeting, scale of 1 to 10, how are you feeling right now? How are you doing right now? And make it really clear that this is a safe place where you don't have to have a persona. You don't have to be a 10 or a 9 or an 8. You could be a 2 and we will still accept you. You're still just as valid and it's valuable. And in fact, if I know that you're a 2, I might even check in with you after. And what's interesting about this practice is that when people share how they are on a scale of 1 to 10, even if they don't get met, meaning even if people don't even check in with them after, it still has a positive effect. Of course, it has the most positive effect if you're able to kind of check in with them as well. So right now, like, go ahead and just take a deep breath in with me, if you will. And just check in with your system just for a sec. On a scale of 1 to 10, how are you doing today? And again, all answers are valid. You could be a 2, and it's totally fine. And you can be a 9, and that's great. How are you doing? Sharing the chat. And what's nice about it is as people sharing the chat, other people are able to see like, whoa, this person is a 3 today. I'm not the only 3. Like, like you're able to start to see that other people have the same experience and you don't feel as alone, which is huge. So the other thing I wanted to say, oh, by the way, if you want more 6 strategies to connect with students online, go to this link. Again, if you want all the slides, go to the link that I shared in the beginning. It's also, I think Joe also put the link up on the website to get all the slides. All right, so moving on, I'm gonna move kind of fast. One of the things, as you remember in Rant, the second letter is A, which stands for awareness, also advancement, but I wanna talk about awareness. Awareness is being present here and now, noticing what we're experiencing, what we're feeling, and also being aware, being present with the person in front of us. It's about being mindful. Now, I think that most of us spend most of our time being mindless, not mindful. And to kind of prove my point, I want you to play along with me for a second. I'm going to show you numbers on the slide. And what I want you to do is I want you to add these numbers out loud with me. Of course, everyone's going to do it in their own house, but just add these numbers out loud with me. So here we go. 1,000, 1,040, 2,040, 2,070, 3,070, 3,090, 4,090. All right. Now, if you said 5,000, you're very normal and you're also very wrong, okay? Because 4,090 plus 10 is 4,100. Okay, and I bet you the vast majority of you said 5,000. Again, if you said 5,000, you're normal, but just understand that what happened here is the mindlessness is not a lack of knowledge. Everyone knows 4,090 plus 10 is 4,100. It's just that you followed a number pattern mindlessly. The problem is that when we are mindless, we're often wrong, but never in doubt, okay? We do not, and it can get us into trouble as leaders in schools, but because we don't recognize, for example, when we're communicating not effectively, or when we're mindless, we don't recognize when we communicate ineffectively with others. We don't recognize even when we're burning out. And so tool number 3 is every 90 minutes, take a 5-minute break to reconnect to your body. When we are connected to our body, we're in the present moment. When we're in our head, you're most likely in the future or in the past. And so take 5 minutes to reconnect either with a meditation to your body, noticing different parts of your body, or brisk walk, really noticing your body, or even a quick workout. Makes a huge difference. Tool number 4 is ask yourself what you do have control over and what you don't have control over. And this is really important because you see, most of our suffering in life doesn't happen from the adversity that we face. It happens from thoughts that we have about the adversity and the attachment that we have to those thoughts. When we devote a large amount of time and attention to things we cannot change, you know, we expend physical energy, emotional energy, we become distressed, and you know, our mental energy can be directed elsewhere. And nowadays, your energy management is more important than anything, okay? And so as much as possible, understand that if there's something that you realize you cannot change, you're not complacent, okay? You're just, you know, are realizing, okay, I'm gonna put my energy towards something I can change. Tool number 5, and I'm gonna do a quick check of time. I have about 3 minutes left. I'm gonna do this as quick as I can. Tool number 5 is move through your difficult emotions with soothing yourself, not repressing these emotions. I don't have time to go through a actual activity, but again, I'll do this. I'll give you that skill more in depth in my breakout session if you wanna join, or if you wanna work together later. That's really, really important. Most people repress their negative, difficult emotions, and then it actually explodes. So as much as possible, soothe yourself. Because here's the thing, the ability to soothe yourself in the face of fear is what leads to brave leadership. Tool number 6, don't wait to refill your battery. If your battery is on empty, it actually will take you a lot longer to recover. So don't wait until you're completely, like, start refilling your batteries now. Now, I'm gonna end with one last tool, but I'll just say that I think, as much as possible before I share this, which I think is the most important tool, I think it's key for people to get that. I imagine you have big visions for your school, right? And big visions require big support. And I know that there's budget cuts and everything. My wish for you and for your students and for the families you serve is that you don't put wellness of your students and your colleagues, the people that you lead, don't put that on the back burner in communication and SEL skills. Don't put that in the back burner. It's going to be so, so important, especially when we come back in the fall. Now, whether it's getting support internally or getting support from an external organization such as EQ Schools, whether it's me, my organizations, or someone else, I just hope that you do get that support. And if you do want to talk to me about exploring the possibility of working together in the fall, I'm ready to work with you all remotely or in person whenever we're allowed to work in person. If you want, if you're interested, just go to eqschools.com and click on Let's Talk. So I'll end with the final tool, and I'll share about this in the form of a fable. So there's a, Jason, can I have like 1 more minute? Is that all right? Cool. So there's a, it's a Native American fable of a grandfather and a grandson. Grandfather walks with the grandson and they walk on a dirt road. And the grandfather turns to the grandson and says, you know, son, inside of every person, there's a raging battle between 2 wolves. One wolf represents self-compassion, connection, love. The other wolf represents really self-deprecation, anger, hatred. And then the grandfather doesn't say anything, just keeps walking. Finally, after a few steps, the grandson turns to the grandfather and says, well, grandfather, which wolf wins this battle? And the grandfather turns to the grandson and says, well, son, the wolf that wins the battle is the wolf that you feed. So I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, what wolf do you feed? And I'm certainly not perfect at feeding my self-compassionate wolf. My self-deprecating wolf definitely does get fed sometime. But as soon as I have the awareness that I'm feeding it, I choose to stop And we live life choice by choice. I make the decision. I choose to stop feeding it, and then I feed the self-compassionate wolf so that I can be at my best and then provide the best for my people. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be at peace. May the work that you do this year come back and pay you 100 folds in the form of love, connection, abundance, and joy. Thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to seeing you on the breakouts for those of you who want to join. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you, Ronnie. I already feel calmer, so I appreciate that, and I appreciate the words you bring to this group, and to really help us feel kind of at peace here. So everyone, thank you for joining our final kick note of our leadership summit. Breakout starting in about 4 minutes, so Ronnie will be moving over to a breakout to go longer in depth on some of the things he's been doing. So thank you, Ronnie. I know you need to move over to your breakout room. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so
Have a wonderful day.